All right, so you've been doing your research on Sacramento and you've got the whole list of suburbs planned out. You've got Roseville, Folsom, Elk Grove, Dorado Hills, Lincoln, Rocklin. And a lot of people think that the decision is about which suburb to pick, but here's what nobody's telling you online. Every single one of these suburbs on this board has two completely different versions, two completely different vibes, two completely different lifestyles. And once you understand what those two versions are, your entire search is going to become a whole lot clearer. Now, one version has mature trees, bigger lots, established schools with track records, and neighbors who have lived there for 20 or 30 years. Now, the other version is brand new everything. Some of them have resort style amenity centers, upgraded kitchens that you didn't have to pay for, and builder warranties on every single appliance. Now, here's the part that nobody factors in until it's too late. The financial difference between these two paths can be anywhere from $300 to $600 per month on that exact same priced home. We're talking about another $7,000 per year. Now, in today's video, I'm going to show you the real numbers. We're going to talk about both of the versions of each of these suburbs. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to give you two big reveals. The best under the radar old school neighborhood in the Sacramento area. We're talking mature trees, zero Mellorees, and prices that are going to make you do a double take. And then the most slept on new construction area in the entire region right now. While everybody's chasing Folsom Ranch in West Roseville, people are completely missing what's happening right next door for 50 to 100K less. Both of these are coming at the very end of the video, so stay with me all the way through because that's where the real payoff's going to get. Let's jump into it. All right, now first things first, let me actually define what I mean when I say old school versus new school neighborhood, because it's not just about the age of the home. Now you can buy a 2005 home in Folsom and it can still have that old school feel and charm. You can also buy a brand new home in a brand new community and it can feel like a parking lot with nice landscaping. So here's how I typically break it down for you guys when you reach out to us who are looking to buy in one of those 5 or 6 areas that we pointed on the map a little bit earlier. So old school neighborhoods are typically communities that were largely built out before 2010 to 2015-ish. So a quick little history lesson, but a lot of the new construction was on the up and up in the early 2000s, especially in places like Lincoln and West Rocklin. Now in 2007, 2008-ish, we had the market crash, which pretty much stopped all new construction building for the next foreseeable future, or all the way up until kind of about this 2010, 2015 mark. So when we're talking about kind of older school neighborhoods or more established parts of Sacramento, we're talking about places like East Roseville, Granite Bay, the north part of Folsom, north part of Dorado Hills, things that are on the north side of Highway 50. Then you've got more of the kind of the north part of Elk Grove as well too, parts of Natomas, parts of Rancho Cordova, kind of up here by the 50 freeway. Now these neighborhoods have been there for 20 plus or more years. The trees are mature, the schools have a decade of test scores, and families have been there for multiple generations. Now, these neighborhoods feel a little bit more settled in, and you can definitely notice the difference when you drive through a lot of these neighborhoods. They feel completely different. There's a big difference when you're driving through East Roseville and you're dropping on the Roseville Parkway versus going up to Lincoln and you're driving through like a brand new community, for instance, like Liberty Ranch. Two completely different vibes, two completely different sets of feels, and you don't actually understand what we're talking about until you've driven through both in person. Now to the new school. Now, new school is gonna be some of the newer neighborhoods are gonna be things that are gonna be post 2015. So we're talking about areas like West Roseville, we're talking about areas of Lincoln, post 2015, like 12 Bridges and Liberty Ranch, even some of the stuff out in the 55 and up like Esplanade. We're talking about Folsom Ranch on the south side of 50, the south side of 50 for Dorado Hills, and south section of Elk Grove, kind of over by the Sky River Casino. Now, these are gonna be some of the areas where you're literally watching streets get paved when we're going out on home tours. Big earth moving material. We're seeing a lot of construction happening, a lot of infrastructure being built in. It's super exciting, but here's the thing we've seen from both sides. We've helped hundreds of families navigate both of these decisions. And what we've learned time and time again is that it almost never comes down to which option is technically better on paper. It comes down to which one fits your lifestyle the most. So real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, I'm Lance with the Living in Sacramento team, where we make these videos about what it's really like moving, living, relocating to the Sacramento area and the surrounding suburbs. We've helped hundreds of people buy and sell homes right here in the greater Sacramento metro, and we drop videos every single week so you can have the real boots on the ground info to make the best decision possible for you and your family. On top of making these videos, Lauren and I are both licensed real estate agents in the state of California, which means that as much as we love making these videos, we actually love helping you more with all of your real estate needs. So that phone number is going to be popping up on the screen. We are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message, or better yet, scan the QR code and book that one-on-one strategy call so we can help put together a game plan and a strategy on making the move to the greater Sacramento metros. Now, here's the thing about old school Sacramento suburbs that a lot of out of area buyers, out of state, out of area, they completely miss it. And it's that these neighborhoods are insanely, or can be insanely competitive. So when you pull up to some of these neighborhoods like East Roseville, Folsom, Dorado Hills, Loomis, Granite Bay, you're gonna see some sold to active ratio that tells you a little bit more of the story. Remodeled homes, pools, a good school zone. The one thing I love about some of these areas, like I was talking about in East Roseville, Granite Bay, Folsom, even places like Fair Oaks, Carmichael, East Rocklin, you have massive convenience here. So these are probably the most central section of the Sacramento metro, even though the city's over to the west, but you can be within 25 minutes from a lot of different things. 10 to 15 minutes from Folsom Lake, 20, 25 minutes from downtown Sacramento, 25 minutes from the Sacramento International Airport over here. You can go whichever direction you want, north, south, east, and west, and it's gonna be probably about 15 to 25 minutes. Now, if homes in these areas are priced right and they're in good shape, sometimes they're on and off the market in 5 days, and there's a specific reason for that. Driving through some of the more mature neighborhoods like East Roseville, established parts of Granite Bay near the high school, you see maturity of these neighborhoods and trees that took 30 years to create. The trees are massive, the lots are bigger, every house on the block looks like it's a little bit different because it was all built in different eras with different custom designs. Lauren and I joke around all the time. So we live over in East Roseville, and a lot of the lots, this is one of the oldest homes that we've ever owned, and a lot of the lots are massive. Builders today would probably try to squeeze 3 or 4 houses on the size of a lot for one home. So it's nice because a lot of these homes have character, they have charm, and they're not kind of like those same cookie cutter neighborhoods that you see in some of the developments. Now, the community vibe in a lot of these older neighborhoods is something that genuinely you cannot overstate for a lot of the people. Some of these streets have been established for a long time, and some of the families have been running 4th of July block parties for 25 plus years. And the cool thing is a lot of the neighbors actually know each other's names. We have a lot of people that we know that actually grew up in some of these neighborhoods. They moved away, then they've gotten older, they had kids, they moved back into the same neighborhoods with their kids, and now they're starting to create some of these same memories that they had when they were younger. So you can't buy a lot of those memories and some of that history and some of that community feel. You kind of just have to wait for it to be built. Now, I will say the caveat to buying old school in Sacramento comes with some cost considerations that we always want to make sure that you factor in. Now, we've had clients that have purchased in some of these old school neighborhoods and the house was gorgeous and fully remodeled from top to bottom cosmetically, but they still had to budget somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 in the first 2 to 3 years just for things that were flagged on the home inspection. So it's not necessarily a reason to run from the old school side, because there are some reasons that we're going to talk about here a little bit later that make it still worth it, but it is a reason to go in with the right strategy and expectation. A fully remodeled turnkey home in Folsom with a great pool and a great school district is still very hot, and some people don't even know about it because it doesn't even hit the market. So with that being said, with some of these homes that move so quickly, or sometimes even before they hit the market, if old school is your lane and something that you definitely want to focus on, you want to make sure that you're working with an agent, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else that's monitoring the market daily and can make sure that you're seeing the inventory as soon as possible or as fast as possible. Now stay with me, because in a few minutes, I'm going to be showing you some of the specific numbers as it relates to comparing and contrasting Mello-Roos from an old school side to a new school side. But when you see the monthly payment difference on some of these similarly priced homes or same priced homes, it may reframe your entire decision on which lane or which side is going to be a better fit for you. So that's going to be coming up. Keep watching. Now, next on the list is going to be new school, and I totally get the appeal here. My very first home was a new brand new construction home, and when we tour new homes with clients in Folsom Ranch and Elk Grove or even in West Roseville, there's something that's, I don't know, it's a little bit more exciting. It's clean, everything's perfectly new, no one's ever cooked a single meal in the kitchen that you're looking at. The floors, the paint colors, the walls, the layout, it all looks exactly how it looked online. And sometimes that's extremely important. Now, the cool thing is some of these new construction areas have amenity centers like Liberty Ranch, Russell Ranch, or even Whitney Ranch, and those can be next level. Resort style pools, fitness centers, pickleball courts, dog parks, splash pads, walking trails, all connected and interweaved throughout the entire neighborhood, and it's all brand new. And here's the thing that makes new construction really hard to argue with a lot of people right now is going to be the builder incentives. We're seeing some of the most aggressive builder incentives in West Roseville, Folsom Ranch, Lincoln, parts of Dorado Hills, and they are offering anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 in incentives right now, which is absolutely nuts. And it's not just like the pick your countertops type of incentives. We're seeing interest rate buy downs. We're seeing discounts sometimes off of purchase price, depending on where they're at in the development. And these are all things that can significantly lower your monthly payment. And those are real numbers that actually make a huge difference when it comes to that. Now, the cool thing from a maintenance standpoint when it comes to new construction is it's a completely different world than buying resale, and touching on some of the things that we touched on the left-hand column. So first year is you're gonna have a 1-year fit and finish warranty. Now this is gonna basically be your bumper to bumper warranty on your home for the first year that you live on it. So when you take possession to the exact 12 months later, you're gonna have a 1-year fit and finish on things that are not negligent, but things that should have been done by the builder. You're gonna have a 2-year appliance warranty on all of your appliances. A lot of times you have a 4-year mechanical warranty on things like plumbing and electrical, and you're gonna have a 10-year structural, and then depending on the brand of the window, sometimes you have lifetime warranties. And most of the time it's nice because you have a direct home warranty rep that you're reaching out to, and you're not calling a home warranty company at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday because your AC went out. Now, the other thing that I really love about new construction is everything is new the day that you move into it, meaning that as long as you service your HVAC system, you flush your water heater, you change your filters every 3 months, all of the things that are required maintenance on a home, get your roof inspected, that can make the different systems on your home last a lot longer. So to be fully honest here, there are a lot of things about buying new construction in the Sacramento region that I wish somebody had told me when I bought my first home back in 2007, because I had a horrible agent and they just pushed me into a new construction home without even, I was young, I was stupid, I didn't have a ton of money back then. And the biggest thing that I could tell you about anything with a new construction home is make sure, number one, know your numbers. We are going to talk about everything as it relates to your house, your affordability, your budget, your price point, things that are going to be, and this is actually on both sides, but know your numbers, know your comfortability, know your monthly budget and what you can afford. I bought a new construction house based off of having roommates. Eventually I lost it. So that's number one, is know your numbers. Number two on the list is the maturity of the neighborhood as well as infrastructures around you. Nobody told me that you were gonna have little baby trees in your front yard for a very long time. So especially in Sacramento, when you're dealing with some of that 105-degree weather, those little baby trees are not giving you shade anytime soon. So you're looking probably about 8 to 12, maybe 8 to 15 years before some of those neighborhoods actually start feeling a little bit more mature. You actually have a little bit of shade cover, especially in that summer. And it's a little bit different, especially if you're some of our buyers that are coming from the Pacific Northwest, Colorado, Idaho, places that have established mature vegetation. There's going to be zero shade in the summertime in that Sacramento heat when it's 105 degrees. So it'll definitely be a real wake-up call. It's not a deal breaker, but definitely a thing that you need to factor. Now, the other piece, and specifically this may be a good thing or a bad thing, is you're going to be a pioneer buyer. So two things that's going to be. One is going to be all of the different infrastructure and all the different things. Take West Roseville, for example. For a long time, Fittyment was that road that kind of separated out all of the new construction. And for a long time, all of the grocery stores were about a quarter mile away. So you could be somewhere out here in West Roseville, and it was going to take you 15 minutes to go get milk, go get eggs, go get any of those things that are super important. Now, we're starting to see a new grocery store there, a new grocery store there, a brand new Costco at the baseline marketplace. So you have a lot more infrastructure, but that shopping center that's on the site plan definitely could be about 3 to 5 years before you actually see it. The brand new elementary school district that the builder promised, those are going to be a little bit down the road too. And some of those through streets that are going to cut your commute a little bit shorter, those might be under construction for the next 1 or 2 years. So definitely with being a pioneer buyer, you have a lot of things that you need to factor, and they take time. Now, the other thing that I do really like about new construction communities is that being a pioneer buyer, you are also going to be the founding people of your neighborhood. So you can establish the culture, you can establish the barbecue parties, the 4th of July parties, whatever kind of culture that you want to establish in that neighborhood. The nice thing is in some of these newer areas, everybody is from somewhere else. So it's not like there's, an older guy that's going to be living in the neighborhood for 40 years. And there is some pros to that where you can establish the culture in the neighborhood. I know especially some of my buddies that kind of live over in this Highland Reserve neighborhood, They have Easter egg hunts, they have 4th of July block parties, they have all sorts of different fun things, but they came in and they really kind of made that community their own. But it takes time to build, especially when you're building it from scratch. Now, if you love that early adopter energy and you want to be the first family on the block, or you want to be the first person to choose the lot before anybody else, new construction can genuinely be one of the best plays that you can make. You get better pricing, you get sometimes, decent incentives in the very beginning. And as the neighborhood's building out, you can build equity as the area develops around you. But if you need the neighborhood to feel like a neighborhood the day you move in, old school could possibly be a better route for you. Stay with me here because we haven't gotten to the financial piece yet. And what I'm going to show you is going to be what the real Melrose numbers works out to be, especially on a monthly and a yearly basis. So this will be one of the most useful things that we've talked about on this channel. But the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the financial reality of the Melrose and the HOA breakdown in some of these things. So going into the next section, this is going to be one of the most important sections that we can have as far as a conversation with you, because when people are moving to the Sacramento, especially if you're coming from Bay Area, Southern California, out of state, whatever, people from the Bay Area and Southern California kind of understand what the cost of living is like in California, but especially if you're from out of state, there's going to be a lot of things that you haven't heard of. One of the things that we get a question on constantly, especially from some of you guys out of state, is Melrose. So if you've never heard of Melrose, or you don't know what it actually does or how it actually affects your payment, Melrose is a special tax that California puts on newer development areas that pay for the different infrastructure that's coming to an area, like roads, schools, fire stations, park, added police, added fire personnel. So newer communities that were post 2015 are going to typically have higher Melrose. And it doesn't go away very fast. So we're talking about sometimes 20 to 40 year bonds. So in established areas like East Roseville, most of Folsom in the north side of 50, most of Dorado Hills proper on the north side of 50, you're either gonna have absolutely zero or very low Melrose that it's gonna be so nominal that you probably won't affect your payment too much. Now in some of the newer communities like Folsom Ranch, Dorado Hills, West Roseville, Lincoln, Elk Grove, some of these master plan areas, you can be looking at anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000 a year on top of the property taxes. So putting this into real numbers and comparing, if we're talking about a 600K home in East Roseville, a 600K home in West Roseville, East Roseville is an established area. So most likely the Melrose is going to be low or close to zero. You might find neighborhoods in East Roseville that have an HOA. Sometimes those HOAs range anywhere from $50 to $150 a month. Now, the same new construction home in Folsom Ranch, West Roseville, Dorado Hills, Lincoln, Liberty Ranch, Melrose can be somewhere between $250 to $450 per month. Now, that can be anywhere. On North, that could be an added $7K per year. And then if you also come into a community like Russell Ranch or Liberty Ranch, where they have the amenity centers and they have all the added stuff, you can be dealing with an HOA that's anywhere from like $80 to $150 a month. So right there for the new construction home, you could be looking at an extra, let's call it $400 to $600 more per month for the exact same home. Now we're talking about the exact same perspectives, right? Same loan amount, same interest rate, same everything, right? Exact same purchase price. But here's what that actually means in practice. So if you have a $600,000 pre-approval letter, or if you're buying a new construction home with Melrose fees, you might actually get a little bit more home for your money in an established neighborhood for the same monthly payment. So this monthly payment might be a little bit lower. And so, or for the same price as over here, maybe you buy a 650 or a 700K house. So you could definitely let that sit in for a second, but to be completely balanced here, the builder incentives and the rate buy downs on the new construction homes can be a huge financial benefit that can offset some of this. So we've seen builders that have interest rate buy downs that range anywhere from $15,000 all the way up to $40,000, and that can make a huge difference. So we're talking about, instead of having a 6.3 or a 6.5 interest rate, we can see builders that are getting interest rates down to the 4.99 to 5.5 range. So it's definitely not black and white, and it's definitely not all builders, but this is exactly why you need to have some of these conversations, especially one-on-one, for your specific numbers and your specific situations, not just a YouTube video, not just a Zillow search. And to have a quick little pause here, these sales reps are awesome at a lot of these builders. However, they do work for the builders. So if you want an agent representation going out with you to help you negotiate, to help you represent you, to make sure that you're aware of any pitfalls or any things that you need to be aware of when going out and buying a new construction home, in California, it is required that any agent, us, or any other person that you're watching on YouTube, goes with you on your very first visit to a new construction home. So make sure that you reach out to us, make sure you reach out to that agent, so that way you don't give up the right to have the builder pay for that representation. All right, so then after that, everything that we just walked you through, the feel, the amenities, the trees, the maintenance, the Melloroos, how do you actually make this decision? And that's the biggest question that we get asked every single time. So before we ever go out and do any type of home tours, what do you actually want your daily life to look like? Not your ideal life, but your actual daily life. So this is what I usually typically call your Monday through Friday life, not your Saturday and Sunday life. So if you have young kids and what matters most to you is getting plugged into a community fast, finding people within the first 5 or 6 months, a neighborhood that's already established in one of these other areas might make a little bit more sense. Finding people within your first 6 months, friends, families, parents with kids your age, having a neighborhood that already has its rhythm and its traditions and its community events locked in and there. Old school neighborhoods are gonna feel like a home a lot faster. And the other thing that we touch on a lot of times is, especially in some of these areas in between the two freeways, your convenience factor is going to go up immensely, right? So places like established neighborhoods like Folsom, the Dorado Hills, even parts Rocklin, Loomis, Roseville, Granite Bay near Eureka, these communities have their running youth sports leagues, they have school carnivals, they have neighborhood events. They've been going on for 20 plus years and you can plug into that day one. But if you're somebody who wants everything brand new and you're somebody who's not going to be comfortable driving around an established neighborhood with a kitchen that's super outdated, which is very real. We've seen it all the time. If you love the idea of walking to a home that nobody's ever lived in, you can choose your finishes, or you get a brand new kitchen that nobody's ever cooked in. Or if you have a long-term view of living in the Sacramento region from that 5 to 10 year mark, new construction can make a lot of sense for a lot of people. And here's the one thing that I tell everybody above everything else outside of this video: do not make the decision by looking at photos and looking at builder websites online. A house in Folsom Ranch and a house in Briggs Ranch or American River Canyon are gonna photograph exactly the same, but those two neighborhoods are gonna feel completely different when you drive through them. We've had clients that have come in from out of town, whether they're coming from in-state, out of state, or even out of country, and they drive through an older community like in East Roseville or Granite Bay or even in North Folsom, and then they drive through a brand new community like a Folsom Ranch or West Roseville or even a Lincoln, and they know within about 15 minutes of driving through both of those communities which lane is going to be the best lane that fits them most. So the goal is not to pick the right suburb on paper. The goal is to get in front of the right neighborhoods in person on your scouting trip with somebody who can tell you the full story of each one. So we had one of our clients that moved here from Canada, and they thought that Folsom Ranch was where it was going to be at. No matter what, they heard about Folsom online. Everybody talks about how awesome Folsom is, and it has a lot of awesome things for that. Now, they flew in, they were convinced that they wanted new construction. They had the floor plan, the builder, the community, they had everything picked out and the prices were all dialed in. We toured the community, everything was beautiful, great amenity center, but there was one thing that just wasn't sitting right for them. And so they wanted to explore one more neighborhood, or as kind of just like a comparison. So we actually took them over to kind of the older West Roseville section, mature trees, bigger lots, bigger home, and a more established school district. And they were just stopped in their tracks. So it's funny because we took them to two completely polar opposite different areas. And the one that they thought that they were going to be in love with coming out here was actually not even the one that they ended up settling and buying a home in. It definitely wasn't the fact that the new construction home was bad or the area of Folsom Ranch was technically not as good. It was just a completely different feeling neighborhood when they drove through it. And that's the whole point that we try to tell you guys on these videos and in person or even on these calls. You don't know what the feeling is going to be like until you've seen both, you've evaluated both, and you've seen them both in person. So drop a comment right now after everything that I just walked you through. Are you leaning a little bit more towards the old school stuff? Or are you feeling a little bit more new school? Because we definitely want to know. It helps us genuinely make some of the better resources for you guys in the future videos, especially as you're doing your Sacramento research. So if you're actively planning on moving to Sacramento in the next 3 to 12 months, do not try to figure this out on your own. The amount of times that we've talked to somebody who spent the last 6 months going back and forth online, racking their brain, getting stressed out about it, we sorted out their entire game plan in the 30-minute call, and it helped a lot, and it provided a lot more clarity about which one of these areas is going to be the best fit for you. So we know every pocket of the Sacramento Metro. We know the East Rosevilles, the Folsoms, the Lincolns, Notomas, El Dorado Hills, Elk Grove, parts of Fair Oaks, Orangeville, Carmichael, Arden Arcade, everything. And we have the experience to help you figure out what's going to be the best pathway and the best fit for your lifestyle. These strategy calls aren't sales pitches. They're literally a call where we just ask you a bunch of questions about what you guys like to do for fun. Do you guys have to commute anywhere that's going to be, more important to be on the north corridor or the south corridor? and we just help you build an actual game plan. So phone number is going to be up on that screen. Go ahead, call, text, email. Lauren and I answer those phone calls all the time, or you can go ahead and scan the QR code and book directly on our calendar. All right, so the thing that I promised you at the very beginning of this video is going to be those two big reveals: the best under the radar old school neighborhood in the Sacramento area and the most slept on new construction area in the entire market right now. So starting with the old school first, I'm going to zoom in here real quick and we're going to talk about Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks, I know for some of you have heard it, but I promise you the majority of the people researching Sacramento online are not even putting Fair Oaks on their list, and it's a huge mistake. I grew up in Fair Oaks. My parents moved there in 1999. Fair Oaks is an unincorporated community in Sacramento County. It sits in between Folsom, Orangeville, and Carmichael, and you've got the American River on the south side. It feeds to San Juan Unified School District, which has some strong, especially for some certain parts of Fair Oaks, does have some good school ratings, and out-of-state buyers or even out-of-area buyers, they just don't even put it on their radar. So now the one thing that I love about Fair Oaks, or that to me makes it so special, is that you're right here next to the American River. So of course we've got Folsom Lake that's up here. You've got Lake Natoma, which is also just a part of like Orangeville and Folsom. And you know, a lot of people go out there and they go paddle boarding, but the American River runs all the way kind of east and west. So we're talking about some of the most beautiful trail systems in all of Northern California, right in the backyard of the neighborhood. I used to go, where was it at? I used to go kind of fishing right here. You can go out there, you can fish in the river. There's a couple of ponds back there at Bannister Park. It's got a ton of local shops, awesome restaurants, real community, and it's got kind of that lived in feel. You've got mature trees. If you drive through Fair Oaks from, you know, either the west side going to the east side or the east side going to the west side, you're gonna have bigger lots, you're gonna have mature trees. And I think the one thing that people miss is that most of Fair Oaks has very little to no mellow. So on a $750,000 house in Fair Oaks versus a $750,000 house in Folsom Ranch, you can be saving anywhere from $4,800 to $7,000 per year just alone on your property taxes. Every single month on the same priced home. Now over 5 years, that could be upwards of $24,000. Now, the trade-off, because I always want to give you a trade-off, Fair Oaks isn't going to have a lot of those kind of brand new amenities that like a place like Folsom Ranch or Liberty Ranch has. So you're not going to have a resort pool that's going to be 2 blocks away from your front door. Some of these homes are going to have kitchens that you're going to need a little bit of updating, which is definitely real. They're going to be large ranch, single-story homes, but a beautifully remodeled home in Fair Oaks near the river with a big lot and a pool, it's going to be gone within 5 days. So people who find Fair Oaks tend to stop looking everywhere else. Now, the new construction, and this one might actually surprise you a little bit more, but it's going to be this south section of Rancho Cordova. And I didn't touch on it too much when we were talking about new construction, but I already hear it down in the comments. Rancho Cordova, oh my God, hear me out. Because what's happening in Rancho Cordova is probably one of the most underappreciated things in the entire market right now. A lot of people are chasing Folsom Ranch, they're chasing West Roseville, and those are both great communities like we said in the video. But here's what people don't realize. With all the new construction pushing east, that Rancho Cordova White Rock corridor is going to be essentially, you're getting essentially the same product. So you have some of the same builders as Folsom Ranch, you have some of the same floor plans in many cases as Folsom Ranch, but the other thing about this section of Rancho Cordova is you get one of the strongest school districts in the entire area, being Elk Grove Unified School District, and you're saving anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000 in the purchase price for the exact same home, just a little bit miles away. I mean, I would tell a lot of people from here to here is only about 10 minutes, and you're saving anywhere between $40,000 to $100,000. We had some clients that moved up here from Huntington Beach. They were originally looking in Folsom at around the kind of the $750 price point, and they just weren't really seeing a lot of the stuff that they loved. They pivoted down here. They actually spent less money and they got double the house. And the cool thing right now is a lot of builders in Rancho Cordova are motivated because a lot of people are chasing Folsom Ranch and they're chasing West Roseville, which means that when we reach out to a lot of the builders in Rancho Cordova, they actually pick up the phone and they're not going to have you waiting in line for inventory to be released. So the incentive conversations are going a whole lot better than a lot of other communities, and there's not a huge waiting line that's out the door. So we've helped clients close new construction in Rancho Cordova, and they're actually shocked about how much more home they get for the same amount of money. So here's the bottom line about everything that we covered in today's video. It isn't about old school being better than new school or new school being better than old school. Both are legitimate contenders, both have real benefits, and both have real pros, and both have real cons. The question that you have to ask yourself is which one fits your lifestyle best? Because once you know that, you can stop second guessing every listing that pops up on your phone, and you can actually start moving forward with a game plan and a strategy. So if this video helped you in any way, please hit that thumbs up button. It genuinely helps our content get out in front of more people who are planning this exact same move to the Sacramento Metro. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We drop videos every single week about neighborhoods, schools, cost of living, new construction updates, all of it specific to stuff that you can actually use if you're moving to the greater Sacramento Metro. So if you want to keep going right now, I strongly recommend watching this new construction playlist. It covers all of the new construction, all of the Sacramento region. Because if today got you leaning towards the new construction side, that playlist is going to be super helpful, walking you through specific builders, incentives, and exactly what the process and the pitfalls are of buying a new construction home. Links are going to be right there on the screen. Again, I'm Lance with the Living in Sacramento team, and if you want to reach out or you want to book that strategy session, phone number is going to be popping up. You can call us, text us, email us, or better yet, book that one-on-one strategy appointment by scanning the QR code.